Hey, you, I need you to hit the subscribe button below.
Yeah. I don't want to hear myself. No vainglory.
And all my people say,
ow! Okay.
Yeah. This is of the Lord.
12. Judah. Big bottle of Glenfiddich, sip moderate.
Yeah.
BHI bad ox, we the opposite. No ops, no flops, no ostriches. Got it locked from the bottom to the top
okay,
of it.
fresh out the womb, I was throwing the 12. When I tell you 12 got 'em, I ain't talking about jail. Big Jews with big Jews, and we teaching the truth. We don't only prophesy, but get busy and boost.
Okay.
2 Kings 6, 25 through 29. 2 Kings chapter 6, 25 through 29. Let me see the screen again. I want to see if anybody's sleeping. Yeah. 2 Kings 6, 25 through 29.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 6, verse 25.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a great famine in Samaria.
It was a what?
Great famine in Samaria.
There was a famine in Samaria. Read.
And behold, they besieged it.
And what?
They besieged it.
So, whoever asked this question, you got to make sure you always read it in context. There was a famine. Why? Because there was a siege of the city. Read.
Until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver.
Meaning, during this famine, it was so bad that a donkey's head was being sold for a larger amount than normal. Read.
And the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver.
Right. So it was so scarce for food that what animals defecated out of themselves was of a high value. Read.
And as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my lord, O king.
So the king was there in the midst of this while the siege was going on. They're seeking help during the famine. Go to Ezekiel 4 and 13 real quick. I want to make sure y'all get the understanding of why we are doing the things that we're doing. There was a besieging of the city taking place. They wasn't doing this on their own accord because they wanted to, like the Egyptologists and unconscious community like to make it. I remember that was a big thing when I first came into the truth. Why y'all eat y'all babies?
And Cap, just to ask that the donkeys, the dung, or what dung was that?
It was
a dove's dung.
A dove's dung. Yep.
Okay, never mind. All right.
Oh,
you buying dove's dung?
You wanted to give your taste bite?
Nah.
You ate that before? I got it.
What is it?
Ezekiel 4 and 13.
All right. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 4 and verse 13.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord said, Even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles.
Right. That was a prophecy that we were going to eat defiled bread. We were going to eat defiled bread. Go back to Kings and pick up at verse 28.
2 Kings, chapter 6 and verse 28. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee?
Uh-huh.
And she answered, we're at verse 27.
I wanted 28.
Okay. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow.
So it got so bad that they had to resort to eating of their children. Read verse 29.
So we boiled my son.
So we what?
We boiled my son, and did eat him, and said unto her on the next day, Give thy son, that we may eat him. And she hath hid her son.
And she hid her son. So let's get why did this happen? Why did this happen? Go to Deuteronomy 28. And let's start at verse 52. I mean, when I first came into the truth, we broke the scripture down all wrong. All wrong.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 52.
This is not talking about black on black crime. All right? It's not talking about black on black crime. Read that.
And he shall besiege thee.
And he shall what?
Besiege thee.
Remember what we read in verse 25. There was a famine because the land was besieged. Read.
And all thy gates unto the high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustest, there throughout all thy land.
And also, I'm going to do it. I got a 15 minutes with the captain's coming on this as well. But remember, the scripture says it's double unto thee. This didn't just happen one time. We got besieged while we was in Samaria. Jerusalem got besieged in 70 A.D. and when Nebuchadnezzar came. So it happened several times. Read. And during the Maccabees, they came and burnt down the temple. Read.
And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy God hath given thee.
Read.
And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body.
What did the Bible say?
And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body.
So this was a curse. This was a curse on us. The same reason why we the last hired first fight, it's the same reason why we had to resort to eating our own children. Read.
The flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters,
Read.
which the Lord thy God hath given thee, in the siege.
That's the key part. In the siege we did this. Read.
And in the straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate,
Read.
his eye shall be evil toward his brother.
Why was his eye evil towards his brother? Because he was conspiring on how he's going to get his child from him. Read.
And toward the wife of his bosom,
and
toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave.
Read.
So that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat.
Read.
Because he have nothing left him. He have nothing left him in the siege, and in the straitness, wherewith the enemy shall distress thee in all thy gates.
Read.
The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground, for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter,
Read.
and toward her young one that cometh out from her between her feet, and toward her children, which she shall bear. For she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness, wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in all thy gates.
Remember, she said she hid the child. She hid him not to keep him alive, but for her own, so she could eat it. These curses are real. From there, go to Ezekiel 5 and 10. Ezekiel chapter 5 and verse 10.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 5 and verse 10.
Therefore
thy fathers shall eat thy sons in the midst of thee. And the sons shall eat their fathers, and I will execute judgments in thee.
You see that? So that's what was going on when? During the siege. Lamentations 4 and 10.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 10. The hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children.
Boiled their own children. Read.
They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people.
Right. And when you're thinking about Lamentations, what? They were lamenting for what happened to Jerusalem. They were lamenting. From there, go to Baruch 2 and verse 1. Baruch chapter 2, verse 1. We're going to read down to 3. So we're showing you what happened in 2 Kings happened all throughout the scriptures. Well, what was it? It was a curse. And it was during the siege, while the land was being sieged.
The book of Baruch.
Baruch?
Go ahead. The book of Baruch, chapter 2 and verse 1. Therefore the Lord hath made good his word, which he pronounced against us.
What? Deuteronomy 28. Read.
And against our judges that judged Israel. And against our kings, and against our princes, and against the men of Israel and Judah.
Read.
To bring upon us great plagues, such as never happened under the whole heaven, as it came to pass in Jerusalem, according to the things that were written in the law of Moses, that a man should eat his flesh, the flesh of his own son, and the flesh of his own daughter.
Right. These things were prophesied to happen, and they happened. That's what we're reading about. Last one, Luke 21 in verse 24. Just giving you the different instances what has happened throughout the scriptures.
The book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 24.
Uh-huh.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
Read.
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
Uh-huh.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
Started 22.
Verse 22. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
Right. What were the things that were written? That in the siege you were going to have to eat your children. All things that we were going to be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth and worship other gods. Read.
But woe unto them that are with child.
Woe unto them that are with child. 1, because they couldn't eat. 2, because you were going to have to resort to eating your own children. Woe unto you if you got a child. Read.
And to them that give suck in those days.
Uh-huh.
For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
You see that? That's why he says, hey, woe unto you if you got children during that time period. It's going to be a dangerous time for you to have a little child during this time period. 1, even if you want to keep the child, it's going to be very hard. And then on the other side, you're going to have, remember it says that the eye would be evil towards his brother. People trying to snatch up your children. So that's what that's going into in Second Kings. All right?
We used to scream black power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.